All right. Good evening once again, everybody. Welcome to
Good evening, sir.
Digital Zeal. Okay, so I believe that at the moment we all have basic knowledge of the computer system itself. That has been the reason why we have spent 2 classes understanding what the computer system is all about, understanding how to manage the computer operating system, such as the Windows 11, Windows 10, which happened to be our last class. And I want to be sure that those of us that were not in that class, we must have done justice to that video, like I indicated in the group, that those that were not in the last class, we ensure that they watch that video, because some of the things we discussed there have a way of giving us a background towards what we want to learn tonight. Okay, so as you can see on the screen, tonight we are looking at introduction to electronic data processing. We are looking at introduction to electronic data processing, which is usually abbreviated to EDP, right? But we are focusing on one of the most used application, one of the most used office application for data processing or for word processing, which is Microsoft Office Word. So now we are starting the journey and we are going to spend a few classes outside this on Word, because the Microsoft Word actually formed the foundation of data processing. Most of the applications that we use out there, some of the concepts that we must have gathered from this application, we have a way of assisting us. So, which means that even the Microsoft Excel that we are going to learn later, including the PowerPoints, majority of the commands that I'm going to spend time to explain to us in Microsoft Word, they are also repeated there. So which means that if we take our time to master them here, it will make our journey in Excel faster and also PowerPoint. Okay, so let's look at what we are going to look at the end of what is our objective at the end of this session training. I mean, this particular one, what are we expected to learn? So let's look at what we are going to learn in this section. So what you will learn in this section. Now, we are going to, at the end of this section, we will know what is called EDP. At the end of this section, we will also know what is called word processing terminologies. There are certain terms that anybody that claims that he or she can use electronic device or devices to process information, there are certain terminologies that we are expected to get acquainted to, and we are going to simplify the core terms as regard to that in this session. Now, at the end of this session, we will also learn what we mean by word processing tools. So we are going to understand some of the technologies, I'm talking about software technologies that can be used to process words. Now we are also going to look at Microsoft Office Word. So we are going to know what is Microsoft Office Word. We're going to look at what it is and some of the things we can use it to process. And then, of course, we are going to learn how do we load it once it has been installed in your computer, or perhaps you are using the Google version, which is called the Google Docs. How can we access it on our system? We are going to look at that. And then finally, we are going to play around some basic word processing commands. All right, so these are the topics I have planned to cover in this session. I'm talking about tonight's session. Okay, so let's look at, I believe some of us are taking notes. I will be giving some time so that those that are writing can probably put their notes together. Okay, so now let's dive in. Let's start with the very first topic, which is the meaning of EDP. The meaning of EDP. Let's start with that. So what is the meaning of EDP? The full meaning of EDP is electronic data processing. Electronic data processing. I would like to get a response from one of you to know if my audio is still good, and also to find out if we are following. Maybe I may need to call name to avoid distraction. James, NH, okay. Okay, I think, okay, thank you very much. Okay. Now, the reason why I am starting this way, remember what we advertise is mastering Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. As somebody may be wondering, why are we going through this journey? You see, our intention is not to train us as roadside learners. There are some foundations that we need to have before approaching those word processing tools. All right? So you can go for an interview and somebody might want to find out whether you only know how to use those tools or you even understand what word processing generally is all about. And that is what I'm trying to achieve by walking us through all these fundamentals. So now, what is ADP? Is the process of collecting. So I would like all to pay attention to some of the keywords that I'm going to be using. The process of collecting, entering, storing, processing, organizing, and producing information electronically. You see, when you claim that you can actually use the computer tools to process word, you must understand the methodologies. You must understand the mediums or the media, how you want to perform all this. Now, which means that for you to be able to process any word, you must what? Give those information to the system via an interface. So there must be an application that offers you an environment where you can collect those data, where that is what the entry, and then you should also understand that it involves holding those information somewhere within your system. All right, and that is why we talk about the computer storage unit in our previous Windows class, or probably computer appreciation. We talk about the computer internal storage. We talk about the computer external storage. All right. So we need to understand, how does computer store this information that we process electronically? So the computer stores them what? Digitally inside a storage, which is called digital storage, like your local disk, like your flash drive, like your SD cards, like your email. All right. So it's not just processing, it's not just entering information, it's not just collecting those information. You must also know how to store them within the system. Now, it's not just collecting and storing, you must also know how to process them. The word processing is talking about transformation. It's talking about changing the states of whatever you must have collected, all right? Because that is actually what makes you a word processor, all right? Or that is what makes you a typist, all right? Your ability to transform. You know, let's take, for example, when you visit all these commercial business centers where they write letter for you, or CV, or other office documents. All right. They are going to ask for a draft. They are going to ask you for a draft, whether you have, manually with biro and paper, written something on the paper that they are going to process. So which means that at the end of the day, the copy that they are going to give you must look better than the raw parts that probably was given to you. So we need to understand that what the processing here is talking about, transforming the information from one level towards a better level. Now, we need to have the word processing organizing skills. Organizing scale, not just processing skills, not just entry skills. We need to also have what? Organizing skills. So by the time we get to that Microsoft Word, we are not just going to be typing anyhow, scattering the information within the page. It is our duty to make sure that those entries that you are processing are well structured. And that is why we are going to look at 3 layers or 3 layouts. Let me use that word, 3 structures that can be used to present information in Word. Because at that point, we are looking at how we can have and organize information. All right. Now, computer and software word application. Remember that we are still trying to analyze the definition. Now, it replaces this EDP. It replaces the manual method of handling information, making work faster, more accurate, secure, and efficient. You and I know that you cannot compare somebody who is writing with biro and paper, which is the manual word processing that we have advanced from. Almost every offices today, they don't accept your curriculum vitae, your resume or your CV in manual form. I'm not sure. They can, some offices, they accept letter, as you can write your application letter, because they want to check your handwriting. They want to check how you can use your grammar without the computer word assisting you. Because they understand that if you are using computer to process it, when you make those errors, the computer will what? Automatically what? Correct them. All right. So now we understand that. Any question on this? Let me just take, if there's question, let me just take one question before I shift to the next topic. If there's no question, I will assume that now we understand what EDP is all about, what electronic data processing is all about. Any question? Del, are you following?
Yes.
I'm asking Del. Del, are you following? Understand, probably you are joining for the very first time. If Del can hear me, you can unmute and talk back. Okay, so let me assume that we are all okay. I think you are on now. Del, are you following? I cannot really hear you. Okay, so I guess you are saying some, probably you are having an audio. But you can use the message aspect. There is a message handle within the Zoom. You can type and say, yes, I'm following, so that I can know if we are all following. I'm talking about there that I couldn't hear. Okay, so now that we understand what ADP is all about, now let's move to the next topic. Let's move to the next topic. So let's quickly look at some of the advantages. Let's look at some of the advantages of ADP. Why is the entire world today? Why is the entire world today advancing from manual data processing to electronic data processing? I'm just trying to pick some probably few advantages. There are a whole lot of advantages there. All right. So high speed, you cannot compare somebody that is processing word with electronic device with someone who is using vinyl and paper. The speed are not the same. So certainly the person using ADP will definitely what be faster. All right. So high accuracy. Right? By the time we get to Microsoft Word, you will find out that even as you are typing, where ordinarily you will have made some mistake, the application will be suggesting the correct spelling and the correct grammar. All right. So that is one of what its advantage compared to the manual, where you can make some mistake that your enemy will find out before you get to know. Right? Then we have it saves time. Definitely, this is self-explanatory. It saves time. It saves time. All right? That it also saves what? Costs. It saves what? Costs. And then easy storage, easy edit, easy retrieval, better organization, improved security, professional document production. So at the end of the day, for example, it could be a school project, maybe your final year project. You see, I've seen a lot of students during final year projects, they spend up to like 120,000 just for business center to type what they have already drafted. It's not as if the business center is the one that is bringing the information. They have already written everything with biro and paper. But just to type it, to document it, to process it electronically, they will go and give it to them and they will be charged. All right. So there are so many benefits. If you are working in a corporate office, you will notice that there are times that you want to type some confidential information. But because you don't know how to type information that ordinarily you don't want others to see, but because you don't know how to type, you will not carry it and go to business center. And then from there, when you finish typing and left, what happened? When the next person comes to type, if your format is good, they are going to be editing that that's your own for that person. And that means that your information is no longer secret. So it's very important that we have basic knowledge on how to process common letter. We shouldn't take letter to business center when we have our computer. It is understandable if you don't have electronic device like computer to do that. All right. Now, when you want to call out information, that is what easy retrieval. Now, let me cite this example. Those days, if you go to the bank, and they want to sort out your file, you can wait for 1 hour, if not more than that, while they are busy flipping file, looking for your name. But today, if you go to the bank with your account number is what they use to save your information in their database. Once they type your account number, everything about you comes out. So you can see why is that possible, because your information were saved electronically. I hope somebody is learning something. James, can I get a reply from you? Okay, good. Thank you very much.
Yes.
All right. So
Yes.
I'm just trying to, because I don't want to train us like roadside. We just jump to MS Word without typing. That is not what makes you a word processor. You must understand what it means. And that is why we are looking at all these advantages. All right. So you can easily organize them. Talk about better organization. Now, there is what we call data sorting. Data sorting. We have this data sorting both in manual data processing and digital data processing. All right. So data sorting simply means the order in which information are arranged, which could be either ascending order or what? Descending order. So for example, in your office, you have file up on your table. The one you use on Monday, I believe you may want to what? To keep those one what? At the top. The one you use on Tuesday, we follow. The one you use on Wednesday, we follow. What are you trying to achieve there? You are trying to sort what? Your data. So that when you want to access them, you can easily. But when it comes to electronic, we don't have to manually do that, because every file that you save has a keyword. For example, if I save a file with Prosper, because letter P starts that file. Next time I want to access that file, once I type letter P, the system, the storage will automatically what? Fetch what? All the files that start with what? Letter P. Are you getting it now? So it is faster when it comes to organizing your information. All right. And then in terms of security, you can easily password your file. And then I ask you, in your office, how are you going to password your file? You are going to lock with padlock. You are going to lock that file cabinet. But as far as digital storage is concerned, individual file can have a password, like we are going to see when we get to Microsoft Word. Individual file you process can be passworded, which means that I don't have to password the entire file cabinet. All right? Because the implication is that each time you want to access any file, you have to open the entire Word file cabinet, just like a folder. All right, so I've said much on what the advantages. Let's look at some of the advantages. You see, as they say, whatever that have advantage or advantages also has what? Disadvantages. Well, it's not left for us to compare them and know whether the disadvantages can actually outweigh the what? The advantages, before we know whether we can still go for it. Look at the few disadvantages that are what mentioned here. Require what? Electricity. So it will cost you money to power what? Those storage, your laptop. Require computer knowledge. That is why you are here. Before you can process words electronically, you must have computer knowledge. That is why you are here. The virus attack, the physical one, we don't have issue of virus. The folder that you store in your physical cabinet, we don't talk about virus. Virus cannot destroy them. But Those ones you store in electronic storage, virus can attack them. Thank God that there are measures put in place to stop what? Virus gaining access. Hardware failure. For example, you store file in a local drive. If the local drive physically spoils, you can what? As in, that might be the end. That is the reason why. That is the reason why every computer operator, once you call yourself a professional, you must have this. Can you see this? This is a backup. This is a backup. You know, some of us, we go for flash drive. But those of us that are professional, we don't go for flash drive. I don't use flash drive to back up. Virus can easily destroy what? Flash drive without stress. But this is what? Hard drive. That hard drive that's in your laptop is what I have removed and put here and set it up. So this is what we call external hard drive. Now, why do I have it? I have this to back up all my important information in this system. They are here. You know why? So that I can sleep with my eyes closed, so that my computer will not crash and start crying as if I lose human being. All right, but you must have a backup. Very important. All right, so that is a kind of remedy put in place to counter what? Hardware failure. Right now, data loss, like I just mentioned, cyber security risks. Bad guys can easily what? Break into them and steal your files. Thank God for cyber security now as a program. That is what we train them, how they can secure file in the drive, how they can harden system security such that intruder cannot gain access. The initial what? Setup cost. So it means that for you to set up, to buy a laptop, to buy those things, it will cost you money at the beginning. But after that, it is cheaper. All right. So let's look at what is, remember our objective. Remember our objective. What I read out at the end of this session, we are going to learn. Right? Now, let's look at what is word processing. Because what we have learned so far is understanding what is electronic word processing, because the tool Microsoft Word that we are going to learn is an example of EDP application. And that is why I have to give us that background. So what is word processing? So word processing is the process of creating. There are some keywords I also want you to pay good attention to. The process of creating, all right, editing, formatting, saving, retrieving, and printing. You see? So which means that you must have um, you must have word processing, creating or creation skills. You must also have word processing editing skill. You must also have word processing formatting. The word formatting here means changing the appearance of what does not look good. All these tools are embedded in Microsoft Word, which is going to be the first and the most used word processing application. And then you must also have knowledge of how to retrieve your previous typed and saved document. You shouldn't be that type of computer operator that can only process and save. When next you are asked to bring them out, it's taking you time. At times, some of us, we cannot even find them. We have forgotten where we store them. That is not a professional practice. Of course, you must know how to print. You must know how to send your information to the printer. I hope I'm communicating. Can I get a response, please?
Yes, sir. We are following, sir.
Okay. So do we have any question? Any questions so far, please?
No, sir.
Hello, sir.
Okay. So which means
So,
okay, go
hello,
ahead.
sir.
Yeah, I'm with you. Go ahead.
I wanted to find out the data loss, and that's one of the disadvantages of
EDP.
the EDP.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you said we should use a hard drive instead
Yes.
of flash drive. So the flash drive, does it have a different space that can carry, or just we can just buy any flash hard drive?
Yeah, actually, the flash drive is of different capacity. It's in gigabytes. I don't think there is any flash drive that is in megabytes. Right? So you have flash drive ranging from 2 gig. I don't think that there is a flash drive 1 gig. We have 2 gig, we have 3 gig, we have 4 gig, 2 gig, we have 4 gig, we have 8 gig, then we have like maybe 12 gig and so on like that. We have a 62 gig, we have 64 gig and so on. So it's of different capacity. When you get to the vendors, once you tell them you want to buy an external USB storage, which is flash drive, they are going to tell you that we have different capacity and the prices also varies. I hope I've answered your question, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's proceed. So now, practically, we know what word processing is. Now, let's move to the next. So let's look at some of the examples of word processing documents. What are some of the things you should know how to process after this training? What are some of the items that ordinarily you will have been spending money on just because they want to process them for you? Letters, that is one of the common items we use, we process, both the formal letter and the informal letter. We have reports. Some of us, the offices where we work, at the end of the month, we give a report. We have to type the reports, the summary of our income or whatever is what. So I am pointing out all this so that you know that it's one of the important aspects of this training. Assignment, as students that are here, they can give you, your lecturer can give you assignment to go and make a research. And then you are to type whatever you research, organize it and present it. Either you mail it to them. That is why we added emailing to this training. Because we want to, at the end of the training, if you are employed tomorrow, you shouldn't be the type that if your boss is saying that type your report and send it to my email and you are looking like, what are they talking about? All right. So curriculum vitae, that is CV. These are some of the things. In fact, that is one of the common items outside later. People type CV. There is no, let me say, there is no standard job you will get today that will not require you submitting what CV. So the CV or the curriculum vitae is the collection of a personal word information that constitutes your name, your biodata, the state you are from, your local government, your phone number, your reference or referee, whatever they call them, then your educational background, then your working experience. All this put together is what we call the CV. So when employer want to employ you, at that point where you need the money, you'll be sincere enough to give your read it. So peradventure you misbehave in the middle of the job. They have already grabbed some of your words, important information that they can use to trace you. All right, then books and then meeting minutes. There are some offices that Their secretary that take minutes of their meeting does not use books. They use what? iPad. They use electronic what? Devices to what? To capture order. Examination questions. These are the things that we process with Microsoft Word. So you can say electronic data processing is actually what solving a lot of what problems. All right, so business proposal. This one is very, very important. I know some of us, we might want to claim that I am not going to work in business center. Typing is the work of ladies. Let me tell you, you will grow to a level whereby you have an enterprise and you want to submit proposal, that you want to supply them products, and you will carry it and start going to business center to type your proposal for you. Okay, so I can go on and on and on talking about the advantages of what PDP and what the type of document. Now let's proceed. So with this, so this takes us to the next topic. Remember our objective. For those of us that noted them, I believe I'm in line with that objective. Now we have what have we learned so far? Number one, we started with understanding what is electronic data or word processing. And then we look at we look at the full meaning, we look at what it is, and then we also look at what are examples. And now we just ended what is word processing. Now we are looking at what is word processor. That is the technology that does the typing itself is what we want to look at now. What does people use to create, to edit, to store, all right, to organize? What technology did they use? Because when we say technology, we are not talking about just hardware. Technology covers both hardware and software. You must understand. So MS Word is a word processing technology. Microsoft Excel is the same. PowerPoint is the same, because sometimes when you go for an interview, I've been opportune as a tech consultant. I've recruited staff for companies, and I know the kind of questions I ask. And sometimes it baffled me when people are failing just simple question you ask. Just imagine you are asking somebody that which technology tool do you use to process letter? So they are expected to use what? Which application? They want you to mention MS Word. All right. So a word processor is a software application used to create, edit, formatting, storing, and printing text documents professionally. Example of them are what I've mentioned here, Microsoft Word. Now you can see the journey that I've taken us through now. You know, I will have just come straight that introduction to Microsoft Word, and then we'll start learning from there. You see that you will have lacked this background. So you will not even know how come about Microsoft Word. So Microsoft Word comes under which umbrella? So from here, you can see that Microsoft Word is an EDP tools. Microsoft Word is an example of a software or an application used for electronic word processing. Google Docs. You see, you don't need another class for those of us that are going to be looking for office assistant job. You know, you see the way they paint it, office assistant. And then somebody will be wondering, what is this person expected to learn? Very simple. Office assistant. What are you going to be assisting in the office? You should have knowledge on Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Internet, then Windows. So that if you are working under a boss, let's say you are working in Tinubu office, do you think Tinubu is going to be typing letter? He has a lot of office assistants. So when you want to type letter, please help me.
When you want to document a record, we'll call the person in charge of Excel. When you want to create slide. So which means that for you to fit into that job called office assistant, you must have a very strong background on what we are learning right now. So Google Docs, we have Google Docs, we have Google Slides, we have Google Sheets. Now, sometimes, you see, once you understand Microsoft Word, all you need to do is to have a Gmail account. Inside your Gmail account, you have Excel version. For those of you that does not have a laptop, or you have a laptop and you don't have Microsoft Word installed, I just told you what you will do to continue practicing alongside with us. Pending when you are going to what? Install a local office in your system. Just open your Gmail account. From your Gmail, just click on what? You will see for your Gmail, you will see that Google Doc. You are going to see Google Doc is Microsoft Word version installed in Google Cloud. Google Sheets is Excel version installed in Google Cloud. Google Slide is PowerPoint Google version installed in Google Cloud. So if you are going to work remotely with a company, maybe you are employed, you are typing from your home and the company is in UK. They are not going to tell you to type with local install Microsoft Word. They will give you Google account where you can always log in and do all your typing so that even as you are typing, they can be viewing them over there. I hope I'm making sense. I get the response from one person at least.
We are following, sir.
Yes, so sir. Yeah, all these are examples. WPS, writer, Apple Words, Pages. All these are examples of what? Word or text editor or word processing words tools. They are called word processors. We even have notebook or notepad, which is the one you have in your Microsoft window by default in case you don't have Microsoft Word. All right, so let's look at now. Let's quickly look at what is the Microsoft. And this was out of those examples of word processor. We are now picking the one we advertise, which is the Microsoft Word. So what is Microsoft Word? As one of the word processor. So Microsoft Word is a word processing software developed by Microsoft. Somebody may want to ask, who is Microsoft? The owner of Microsoft Corporation is Bill Gates. All right, good. So I said what? Developed by what? Microsoft, that enables users, you and I, to create, edit, format, that is what? To modify, to change, to save, to store electronically, to print, and to share professional documents efficiently. So sometimes, like I always tell people, don't go and register into cybersecurity. Don't go and register in web development. Don't go and register into all those professional programs when you have not sorted out what? These basics. It's going to affect you. It's going to affect you. Forget the fact that you try to claim that professional. There are some things that are missing in you. This is where you are to start from. So let's look at some of the uses of Microsoft Word, just like this still align with some of those things that I've already mentioned. Those documents you can process with any of these word processors. So you can easily process letters, reports, books, and the rest of them. I don't want to waste time on this because we have already treated that. Now, let's look at some of the word processing terms before we go into what the Microsoft Word itself to look at that last topic. I think the last topic is, is it the last topic? But I know the last topic is understanding Microsoft's or data processing basic command. So let's quickly talk about some of the words commonly used terminologies. See, if you find yourself in an environment where people are typing, you will see people using this term to instruct one or two persons. For example, now, if you are typing, I say what? Highlight this character. Highlight this character. I am not talking about behavior in the world of data processing, where people are processing information. If the word character is used, it means what? The individual letters or numbers. For example, letter A is a character. Letter B is a character. Letter C is a character when they are standing individually, not combined. They are referred to as what? Character. Number 1 is a character. Number 2 is a character. When they are also standing individually, not combined, they are called what? Characters. Now, what is now text? Text is the combination of 2 or more characters that forms word. The combination of 2 or more characters that forms word is called what? Text. Let me prove it. My name, Prosper, is a word, not a character, because it is the collection of words or combination of words, 7 characters that forms what? The word called what? Prosper. Now, the moment it makes sense, that is when it should be called what? Text. Please get it right. If you combine A, B, C, D, when you join them together, if they don't form any single meaning, they are still character. Get it right. So the reason why Prosper is no longer a character, because the combination of those letters has formed what? Prosper as a word, and we can find out the meaning of what? Prosper. So we are going. Now, what is now document? Because we said Microsoft Word is used for creating documents so that you know what document is. So document is the collection of 2 or more words, texts that forms sentence. For example, now, welcome to Digitech Zeal Hub. That is not text anymore because I can see a couple of text there. Welcome is a meaningful word. To is another word. Digitech Zeal, Digitech is another word. Zeal is another word. Hub is another word, which means that what? You combine 2 or more words to form a sentence. Once it can form a sentence, you no longer refer to it as what? Text. It becomes what? Document. I hope you are following. Let me hear from Emmanuel Power. I hope you are following.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So at this point, we are done with the theoretical background I want to give. So now let's quickly go to what? How to load Microsoft Word window. And then we will now look at some few things and then see if there is time. In fact, definitely, this is just 8:04. All right, so we still have about 50-something minutes. Okay, so now let's dive in. Let's dive in properly. Now, this is your graphical user interface as we have explained in our previous class. So you can see that what these classes that we've been having, they are sequenced in a way that the first one is connected to the second subject. What is the first subject? Computer appreciation. That is where we taught you the definition of computer, the various parts that makes up the computer, the importance of computer, and then we now graduated into what? Understanding the Microsoft window, which we ended in our last class. And I said the Microsoft window is one of the system software that is installed just to ensure that the entire computer is coordinated. So now you can see that, and in that class, I've explained to us that all these pictures, they are called icons, because right now, we are going to create an icon that will represent the application we want to use, which is what? Microsoft Word. So let's look at loading Microsoft Office Word. So which means that, how do I start? How do I start? For example, I am employed to work in an office that require typing of letter. And my boss have drafted the letter. And the letter is handed over to me that go and type this letter. By the time I get to my system, where do I start from? Step number one, you must know how to load it. Now, loading Microsoft Office Word. There are several ways. So I'm going to show us what? 2 common ways, or let's say 3. The first one is called using the program manager. Using the program manager. Make sure you are taking your notes, because I believe I'm taking adults. I don't want to waste our time typing because the journey is far. And like I said, what I'm going to do is that, please, somebody should remind me, before the end of tomorrow, I will forward a manual, e-manual that contains step-by-step. So it's a manual that I composed some years ago, but it's going to guide you on Word that we are looking at. When we get to Excel, I will send you the one of Excel. So please, I want you to do me a favor. I have been begging since. Help me to tell your friend, this training is very essential. There are people I feel that are around you. Tell people to join. Very important. It's very important. Okay? Now, where do you start from? I say what? Let's look at using the program manager. What is program manager? Anytime an application is installed, once the technician or the engineer install any app in your system, there is a place where they are stored. And that place is called what? The program manager. So how do we go to that place to call out Microsoft Word? Now, for you to access that unit, you click on the Start button. So once you click on the Start button, this is the program manager. You can see that this organizes all the apps. All these ones that you are seeing here, they are the most recent use application. Now, we can easily find Microsoft Word here. You must know the logo of each of these apps that you use, please. This is the logo that represents what? Word. This is the logo that represents Excel. This is the logo that represents PowerPoint. Supposing you come here and you cannot find it. Supposing you come here and you cannot find it. You click on All App. Now, once you click on All App, the computer is going to expand or take you to the program manager core unit, which is where we are now. And as we can see, like I pointed out, because these programs are stored in your system electronically, they are organized alphabetically. Look at this here. All the apps that start with A, they are the one you are seeing. All the ones that start with C, they are the one you are seeing. All the ones that start with E, and so on. So all the apps are sorted in ascending order. So you are looking for Microsoft Word. So all you need to do is to keep going until you can see what? Microsoft Office Tools. Click on it to expand it. Then under it, you can now continue to what? To go, depending on how it was installed. But in my own case, it's not captured under it. So what I'm going to do, which means that what? I have to use a keyword to search it out. And how do I do that? You click on the search box here. Just type the first letter that starts what? W. Once you type the first letter, if it doesn't fetch it, then you type the second letter, that is O. You can see that what with the first letter, I have gotten it. So I will just click. So you can see that with this, we have been able to access not the application. We have not gotten there. Where we are now is called what? Microsoft Word Get Started. All right. So this is just like the interface before the working environment. Now, why are we given this interface? Now, this is Get Started. This is where you can choose the kind of environment you need. For somebody who wants to start typing letter from scratch, somebody who is not about knowing the format for writing a letter, the person will just go with what? Blank, and click on it. And that will take you to what? To the what? To the environment. So finally, we just got to what? To the environment. So this is Microsoft Word Windows. This is Microsoft Word interface. This is just like I just took us from the village we are to another village. And that is why my next topic is going to be familiarizing us with this environment, because this is the first time we are coming here. We are not supposed to start learning the functions. We are to understand the environment. So let me close it and show us how you can come in again. If I don't want to follow that method, I'm going back so that I will show you another thing. Because some of us, we are going to be finding ourselves in an office where we'll be asked to type a letter, and we don't even know the format of typing what? Formal letter. We don't know how to structure the address block. I want to tell us that if you are using an electronic device like computer, you can see examples that Microsoft has given you. Now let's go again. I type what? W. And then I click. Now, these are the templates. These are templates. All this. If you are on the internet, you are going to see more of the templates. Template means already made formats that Microsoft has already put together, because he knew that there are some beginners that do not even know the format of what they are given to type. So what Microsoft has done is to assume different format that can be used to type different Word documents. So for example, let me take a look at this. How do we exploit them? You click on the one you want to exploit, and you will get a brief description about it to know whether that is exactly what you are looking for. So this one says what? Modern chronological what? Resume. So you can see that this is one secret I want to share with you. When you go to Business Center, they will tell you to type CV. Is probably maybe 1,000 naira or 1,500. They will ask you, do you have your drafts? Do you have your format? If you say no, they can even increase the price because you don't even know how it looks like. And then once you have drafted it, they are going to come here and exploit one of these templates and start modifying it. So they will tell you, come back in the next 1 hour. Before you come back, maybe the next 30 minutes, the person is the fast typist. The next 30 minutes, they must have finished it. And then they'll collect their money. Now, look at the way I have just invoked this already made. Now, which means that I don't have to struggle with how does a CV look like? These are some of the advantages. Now, look at the structure. It says what? First name, last name. That is what? You highlight here, you start editing. So look at what I'm doing now. This is what they'll be doing. Then you highlight here, then you put your last name. Let's say what? Prosper. Now, they will now go to file. Remember, we talked about saving, that data processing involved creating. I just created Aguero Prosper. It involved what? Saving. Now, I'm saving it because in case there is power outage, I can fetch it. So I go to save and then I will choose. I'm still going to discuss saving properly so that I will tell us other things that are involved. But just for you to know how to get about it on the surface first. So I'll choose, okay, I'll go to browse, and then I choose where I want to store it within my computer. Let's say I want to store it on desktop. Let's say I want to store it on desktop. I'll simply explain all this later. Then I'll give it a name. This is CV. I'll say CV, and then I click on save. Now watch what happened the moment we do that. You can see that what the name has changed towards CV that I'm using what. Now, which means that right now, this is no longer another person document. This has been personalized. This has become your own document. So as I'm using the word document now you understand because what is the collection of what? Words. Now I will not come here again, address here. So you tap on it. My address, we just say what? Maybe to K2, Lagos. Then your phone, you click there and type your phone 07069665919. That is actually my personal number. Now I want to put my email because these are what they will use to contact you if you are favored. If after going through your information and the company found you favored, you are good for the job, your CV must carry your contact, and the contact must be a line that is always what? Active. And then if you have a LinkedIn profile where they can go and check some of your achievements. So that LinkedIn profile, just like your portfolio, they want to know what you have achieved. So they will just go there and just glance through some of your documentation and know whether you are the type of person they are looking for. You have a Twitter account or maybe Facebook. You can. These are ways you boost, their confidence that you can check my lifestyle. I'm not that kind of person. So imagine somebody is doubting. That is why when you came, we sent you our YouTube page so that you can, for those of us that are adapting or that are scared, so you can, okay, if they have done A and Z, these people are not 419. That is the portfolio. So these are the kind of things you can start building if you want to start looking for a job. Now, you can click here and then it will allow you to what? To wipe out everything there and type your own. But because of time, I'm not going to. So I've just showed us that you can actually exploit the template, and then convert it to your own information. So I've showed us several ways or one of the method on how to load Microsoft Word. Now let me show you the last one before I'll give room for interaction if there is any, and then before we look at the last topic there. So if you don't want to go through this step to access Microsoft Word, which other step that is faster than the step we just went through? Now, you can use an icon to represent Microsoft Word within your GUI. I told us that the whole of this environment is called graphical user interface. So this is where stuffs are represented with icon. We have icon representing folder. We have icon representing program. Go and watch the last video. I talk about all this. So now we want to create an icon here that represents Microsoft Word, so that when next you want to type letter, you don't have to go through all this process. But that method is called a shortcut. And of course, shortcuts in life will always cost you something. It means you are bypassing something. Some of those things that we're able to access, those templates, if you are going through the shortcut, you will not see them. So let's look at how to create that icon. You right-click on an empty space, and then you navigate to new, and then you'll be able to see Microsoft Word document. Once you click on it, so going forward, you now have an icon representing it. So when next you are given a letter to type and you are not interested in stealing from those templates or trying to gather some ideas from those templates, you are now a professional that knows what you want. Then you just come here and just double click. You see what happened now? So this bypasses all those all those templates. Any question, please? Are we together?
Yes, I have little question, please.
Okay, go ahead.
Can you hear me, sir?
Very well.
Please, the procedure you use on the how to create the MS Word, can you please repeat it for me?
Okay, this is what I did. I look for an empty space, and then you press the right button on the mouse, and then you go to new, and then if MS Word has been installed, you are going to find it here. So you just click on it. I hope it's clear to you, sir. Is that clear now? The
Yes,
person
sir.
question. Okay, any other question, please? Please feel free to talk. This is just like this is like the physical, just that we are not virtually, we are in the same room. So please feel free to talk. All right. Is everything clear to us, Mrs. Wakosu? Can I hear from you? I hope you are following, ma'am. While I'm waiting for a response, Mr. John Dodo, can I also hear from you, my Ghana brother? Are we following?
Sir. Yes, sir. But this shortcut and the first one, which one is better?
Yeah, it's your choice now. But if I'm to rate them, you see, there is an advantage attached to the other one. Look at it. If you are going through this, you have an advantage of assessing all this already made that you can gather idea from. But if you are going through the shortcut, you will not see all this. So I will now ask you back, ma, which one do you think is better again?
The first one.
Good, because the first
that is already arranged.
Good, you
it's
have
already arranged.
Good, exactly. But when you are in hurry, probably not just being in hurry, when you know when you don't
what you want to do.
Good, exactly. When you are not relying on anybody concepts, you don't need to go through it. Okay, so
sir.
I'm here to hear from John Dodo. Please, I want it to be interactive. IBK, let me also hear from you. Is everything?
Yes, sir, I'm following. I'm at work. That's why I'm not talking.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay, IBK. I hope all is good.
Yes, sir. Clearly.
Okay, all right.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. So let's go back to our plans. I think part of what we have as our plan. Let me see what. Okay, so now, so I'm going to actually replace this particular topic. All right, so there's a topic that's supposed to come before this topic. So I'm replacing this topic with understanding Microsoft Word environment. So please, let's take note of that. Understanding Microsoft Word environment. Just give me 1 minute. Come in.
All right. So, like I said, we are looking at understanding Microsoft's Word environment. You see, there is an order of learning applications. Now, from experience, I noticed that there are some persons that when you bring them to an application interface that they are not familiar with for the first time, and you start teaching them how to use the functions, they are always scared. They are always afraid. And the reason is simple. You don't expect me now. Which of the states I've not been to in Nigeria? I've not been to, I've been to, okay, I've not been to Port Harcourt. I've not been to Port Harcourt. Now, I spent 15 years in Lagos, and currently I've spent 5 years in Asaba. Now, you cannot expect me now to go to Port Harcourt today and then start working with the same confidence with people that have spent 10 years there. It's not possible. The first thing I am going to do is to observe. So I'm going to be acting like somebody that is strange to the environment. While I'm doing that, I am observing how vehicle moves. I know Lagos vehicle does not stop in some location before you enter. Asaba here, the movement is very free. If you plan to go to a place, the next 5 minutes, that 5 minutes will be 5 minutes. They cannot be hold up anywhere. So you can see the differences now. Now, I have said that to let you know the reason why I'm taking this topic, understanding Microsoft Word environment. I am assuming that this is the first time that you guys are seeing this, because that is what we advertise. I'm not assuming that you have been using it. So I am training us like individuals that are coming into technology for the very first time. So you don't expect such a person, you don't start like this, typing your name and then highlighting it, start teaching the person how to increase, how to do color, how to move it. You don't start all these things at this point. So what I want to do right now probably is going to form the last topic tonight, is for us to understand the structure of Microsoft's Word interface. What will that do for you in the next class? The next class, it will help to boost your confidence. By the time I start taking us through how to use these functions, how to use them to process word, you will now be working with certain confidence. You will no longer be afraid. That is the objective of this topic. Now, I said what? Understanding Microsoft's Word environment. Now, take this note. Microsoft Word environment is divided into different word segments. All right? Microsoft Word environment is divided into different segments. So what do I mean by segment? It means that this interface that we are seeing right now is made up of different parts. And we are going to take our time to acknowledge them one after the other and have a summary of what can be achieved through each of them. So that when you are typing, you are looking for a command to solve a particular problem. You will not waste your time beating around the bush. So let's quickly look at the Word, the Microsoft Word, the MS Word, Windows, pictures. Please give me 1 minute again. Sorry, I hope we are still here. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so I was talking about Microsoft Word, Windows features. We're talking about Microsoft Word Windows features. All right? Microsoft Word Windows features. Now, what do we mean by features? We are talking about different parts that makes up this application. So we are going to start identifying them from the top here. Look at this part that I'm navigating at, starting from this arrow here, where you have new Microsoft Word document, where you have these buttons. The whole of that part is referred to as the application title bar. The application title bar is referred to as the application title bar. All right, so I will just dictate their definition, but I'll be listing them out. All right, now, as the name implies, application title bar, which is this part, it displays information about the application, all right, and the name of your file and the control buttons. So there are 3 things you can access via that word section. The first thing you access is what? The name of the file. So currently, the name of the file is new Microsoft Word document. And the name of the application you are using is Word. All right? So you don't have to wait until they call it Microsoft Word. Just Word. It means what? Microsoft Word. Now, if you navigate to this section here, you will now see this 4 button. I don't want to pay attention to this because if you have registered with Microsoft, then you can sign in. That is for those of us that want to subscribe and be paying monthly, like 7,000 or 12,000 just for using Microsoft. But I advise you to go and install the local version, the one that does not expire, like the one I'm using. Now, so these are the major buttons. So these 4 buttons, they are called the control button. It's just like your house. You have electrical what button. You have a button where you switch off your house light. You have a button where you regulate your fan. You know, anytime each of those buttons are touched, something happens, which means that what? Those buttons are actually what? Controlling something. That is why they are called what? Control buttons. Now, the first thing I am going to show us is that how do we regulate here? How do we update this place? Which means how do we save? Because every file that you are saving should have a descriptive name, which is called what? File name, an ID that helps you to what? Identify it, an ID that helps you to differentiate it from other words, file in that storage. Now look up, when we were learning Windows the other time, we learned how to create folder, and we were taught that folder is a sub-storage which is used to organize file in the system. Now, let's say I'm working in an office and I have customers' work, I have official document. So I'm going to create a folder. I'm going somewhere. I'm going to create a folder, and I will name that folder official Word. Let's say official Word docs. Now, I'm going back to Microsoft Word and show us how we are going to save, how we are going to direct that file into this folder. All right, so let's go back. So this is what I have typed, and I would like to see it next time. Why am I going through this? Because I want to show us how you can update this place, because this should not be used to save a valid information. This is not a descriptive name, all right? This is Microsoft Word default name. It must be updated. And how do we update it? How do we now save? You go to File. Then when you click on File, it will take you to the application backstage. The application have the front and the back. How do you get the back? Once you click on the file, you see that this is the backstage. And on the backstage, we have this button, these functions. All right. we have this function. If I want to know whether the app I'm running is activated, you click on account. You will see that what product was activated and the version of it I am running Office 2019. All right. If I want to go back, I click here. Now let's go there because we actually came here because we want to use one of these save what command. Now, there is difference between this and this. If you are saving a file for the very first time, where it requires giving it a unique name, you don't use this one. Though the computer is so smart that sometimes, even when you are making mistake, when it knows that you have not saved this file for the very first time, and you click here, it will redirect you to the function of this. But that does not mean that you did the right thing. So the right thing is that whenever you are saving your file for the very first time, you click on what? Save as. There is a reason why that as is there. It means that what? Attach your name. Save as Prosper. Save as Jude. All right? So you click here, and then the computer prompts you this interface. So the computer knew that you are about saving something. So therefore, it shows you the storage dialog box. What is a dialog box? If I say, let's come together and dialogue, it means that you are going to bring your option to the table. I am going to bring my own. They will not choose the best. So why is it called storage dialog box? Because here you have access to see different places where you can store your information. It is now left for you to choose based on security. Remember that first note, based on security. So if you are going to choose desktop, you ask yourself, is the file secure there? Knowing fully well that desktop is what? That first environment that you see once your computer finishes booting. Is that file secure? The answer is no. Because if I give the laptop to you now, to someone now, the moment the person boot the system, it's going to see the desktop. So it's not secure. Except even though it's going to be passworded, desktop is not the best place to save what? Sensitive data. All right. So now I will say, okay, now look at it. It's divided into two parts. Look at one part, look at the other part. Now, this part contains the main tools for navigating around different storage. While this part contain or display the recently visited storages. So the reason why you are seeing it, because today, while I was teaching, there's a class I took from 5 to 7. And then immediately after that class, I enter your class, which is what? Coding classes. So that is the file that I opened last. That's the reason why it's showing. So by the time I save this now, I choose maybe document, it's going to what? Capture it. So which means that you should not depend on choosing a storage from here. You might be given a system where nobody have saved in desktop. And because you are used to accessing desktop here, you might be stuck in an interview. So see this as like optional. So the best way to learn how to save, you go to browse. Browse means what? What I'm looking for is not where I am. I want to travel to go and get it. That is the meaning of what? Browse. And the moment you click on that browse, the computer prompts you another dialog that have list of different places here. Look at them here. So I'm going to document, and inside document, I still have items stored there. Now, when you are saving, you are supposed to go through, check what you have there already, because you are not supposed to use the same name, a name that has been used to save a particular file in a particular storage, for example, desktop or document. That same name should not be used so long they are going to be in the same room. Just like this room now, Prosper. You want to bring somebody else, you now name the person Prosper. So whenever you call Prosper, who can tell us what is going to happen? I just need one person to unmute and tell us when you keep to Prosper in one room and you call Prosper, who can tell us what you are going to experience?
The two will answer at the same time.
So there will be conflicts, confusion.
Prosper will respond, sir.
Good.
The two Prosper will respond.
So there will be confusion. there will be confusion. And meanwhile, you need only one. But you know the funny thing, please let me send this advice because most of these things are from experience. I have had a situation where somebody was arguing with his boss. Now, how can him that have been using computer for 5 years open his 2 eyes and delete a file? Because they were looking for a file in the system, and the boss was saying that you did not save. And he is saying that I save it. Okay, with what name? And he mentioned the name. Then the name is there. By the time they open that name, is the what? The old one has gone. Is the new one they are seeing. Meanwhile, who can tell us what will have happened? Let me know whether I have some persons that have been using system before now. Who can tell us what will have happened to the old one?
The old one disappear and the new one replaced it.
Okay, now this is what I'm talking. This is where I'm going. I asked a question earlier on that what when you call Prosper, the two of them will answer. But when it comes to electronic storage, digital storage, two of them will not answer. One will overwrite what? The other in as much the name. So that is an automatic way of deleting old files. So it can happen. And that's why I'm giving this advice. Once you are in desktop, you are in document, or you are in a folder where you have already stored some file with certain name, before you think of the name you want to use, do something like this and check, okay, I'm already having Zoom, I'm already having Interior, I'm already having Evening 2. No. If I thought I want to use Evening, I should use Evening 3. So which means that what two of them are not stored in the same memory location. So that is the standard rule of saving files. So I will also, okay, maybe something like this. All right, now I'm going somewhere. Once I tap what save, let's go back to MS Word. What has happened? You can see that what it has updated that section. We are still talking about the title bar. What and what can you see there as a data what processor? So you can see the name of your document. You can see it here. Now, you can see the name of the app you are using. Now, let's talk about this control button. These are buttons that are used to regulate the entire Word interface. Now, depending on the situation, there are communication that some expert will use that will tell you whether this is the button you are to click. That will tell you whether you are to click here. For example, if you are working and say, okay, please minimize, minimize, minimize. The word minimize in computing, it means what? That it means temporarily close this environment, this window, so that we can check some other windows. That is the interpretation of word minimize. So once somebody is telling me minimize, 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 I will not click on this one because I'm not done, I'm coming back. It's just like you are just stepping out and you are coming in. So this is what you click on, which is what? Minimize. And that will take it off and store it here. This section here is called the taskbar. This is where all the tasks that the computer is currently performing, their programs icons are represented. This is MS Word icon, representing that, oh, right now the user is currently working on Word. So once you hover here, and then I also find out that, oh, there are two different documents. This is just like two different books. Just like two different books. And meanwhile, you are writing in this book. Now, each of these books can have pages. So if you pick this book, there can be pages under it. If you pick this book, there can be pages under it. So if I hover here, these are two documents. So if I navigate here, so right now, this one is having what? Just one page. So you saw how I brought it back now using what? The minimize button. So it's one of the control buttons. Now let me take this one. This one is very important. Ribbon display option. What is the work of that icon? That icon helps you to turn on and turn off your tabs and their properties. The question is, what are tabs? You see all this menu, they are called tabs that I'm clicking. And each time you select any of them, what happens? You see a drop out of what? Different function. So in other words, probably in the next class where we'll start talking about this function, you see that what currently, if I'm to address who is the owner of these features, this command, I will say what? Insert properties. If I go to design, all this becomes what? Design properties. If I go to layout, all this become what? Layout property. So you see, when you say that you are a data processing individual, it means that when you are typing, for example, I want to reduce the size, I shouldn't be beating around the bush doing things like this. Where is the command set? Is it there? No. Imagine you go for an interview. This is what you are doing now because you don't have confidence. You didn't learn it very well. Probably you watch one person YouTube video that he did not start from the beginning, and you now feel that you know it. And then you go for an interview, and they are asking you, what am I looking for? I'm looking for a command to reduce the size. So look at what I'm doing. But I should have known if I'm an expert, if I have been visiting this place regularly, if I have worked with this environment, I would have been familiar that no, that command is under home. I will just come here straight and reduce it. You see the speed at which I access that command. It shows that what? I am familiar with the application. That is what is required. Sometimes people go for an interview and they are asked simple questions. You see them wasting time looking for it. There is reasonable time that you should waste. I'm not saying to take rather. I'm not saying that you cannot waste time. You can take time sometime, but not counting up to 2 minutes. You are looking for something. It shows that no. It should be like, it shouldn't even up to 1 minute, or at worst, it should be within what? 1 minute. Even with that said, the employer will have started developing some. Are you sure this person? Just like you are telling me that, do you know the address to your house? You say yes. Okay, let's go. As we are going, we get to a junction, and I notice that you are doing like this. If I follow this, I will carry my leg and run them, and this person does not know his house. So this one that is getting looking here and there. So that is how it looks like when you are not familiar. What I'm telling you is that as we are training you, when we start working with this, when we start typing and start modifying, each time I am using any of them, don't just pay attention to the transformation. Pay attention to where I am going. For example, for me to take these steps back to this side, look at this, I'm coming here, then I am clicking here. So you watch, oh, he went to home, and the home has different block. He did not get it under clipboard, neither under font. He got it from where? From under what? Paragraph. You take note of all this. It's very important. All right. So I've just explained here now. Now let's see. These are the tab. File is a tab. Home is a tab. Insert is a tab. Design is a tab. And I said this button is used to control them. That is, you can turn all this off with this button. You can bring them back with this button. Let's go there. I click. I have 3 options here. The first one says auto hide. So if I click here now, all of them are disappeared. Sir, 2007. Advanced Computer 2003. 2007. There was a student that I graduated 2004. And that student missed a job that time, the job that would have fetched him, 500,000 then. Why did she lose the job? She got there before they started. The owner of the system, the computer literate, the person turned off this, and they asked her that, okay, bring back the tabs. If you claim you know Microsoft Word, bring back where we normally access all those commands like home and thereabout. Then it was called file, not even home. She couldn't. What they expected her to do is to come back to this icon and select what? Any of this. That is all. So, but let me show you the difference between using this option and this option to resume them. This one say was show ribbon tabs only, which means that what? File is a tab, home is a tab. That is what the layman calls what? Menus. But professionally, we call them what? Tabs. Now, what happened there? Look at this here. I need a command to underline this text. I'll click on home, then it brings out the command. Then let me go for the underline here. I want double underline. I click, it underlines it. The moment I click, I step out now, I want to do something else. They have collapsed. They have gone. I can no longer see them again. You see the disadvantage now. So which means that if you use this option, anytime you finish using, once you expand a particular menu, you are done using one of the functions. Everything we fold back. So when you want to use another one, you go back and expand again. That is wasting of time. That does not contribute to your word processing speed. So what I advise you to do, use this one. And what does this say? Show tabs and command. So if I'm using this one, when I'm done, let's say I want to move this text to my right hand side. I can come here and click here. I have moved it. Look at this. I've stepped out. I'm still seeing all this. Just in case I want to quickly use another one, I can, while I'm still here, I can say, okay, I want to change the color to this without this collapsing back. So that is the function of what? This. Now, this one is danger. Before you click on this button, make sure that if you have added anything from the time you saved before you click on this, please, I beg you, make sure you go back to File and click on this save. Now you know the difference between this save and this save. What's the difference? This one is for updating a file that you have given a name, a file that you have already computed some stuff, you just added something today, and you want that thing not to be saved separately. You want it to be saved together with the old one. So you click where here. And that is where we normally use shortcut Control S that you have been hearing. Control S, Control S. Control S is not this one, is this for continuous what? Saving. I hope I'm making sense. Can somebody unmute and reply? I hope everything I just explained now is clear to you. Can I get a reply, please? Do I have to call name? James, hope you are following. Is it clear?
Yeah, but I have a little question there.
Okay, good. What is your question? Go ahead.
The could hide those tabs is what I want to know, the name.
Now, this is it here. Ribbon display option. Can you see it now? Ribbon display option. Can you see it? Ribbon display option.
All right, sir.
Good. So you click on it, and then you see the option. Okay, of course, this one is the danger. Now, before you click on this, make sure you have resaved or you press Ctrl S. So that brings us to the end of this first part. So unfortunately, we will not be able to cover all the parts. So we will continue from there. Like I told you, you see all these things that you are learning, they are in Excel. Let me show you so that you will now know the reason why we are going to spend much time out of the allocated time for the training on Word, because I'm indirectly teaching us two things. This is Excel. I just want you to know. Look at it. They are also here. So which means that once I come to Excel, I'm not going to waste my time explaining this. So what I'm trying to do now is that those things that are the same, all these things, they are in MS Word. Once we have mastered them in Word, you see that our Excel journey will be very fast. If I even go to PowerPoint now, all right, so that you don't be in a hurry to say that, are you sure that this one that we are spending this quality time on Word, are we going to finish all of them? So that you don't worry. All right. So look at them again. They are here. Everything are here. Okay. So Microsoft Word is the root. If you don't understand Microsoft Word, there are a lot of applications you are going to have issue with. So I don't always rush students when I'm teaching them Word, because I know indirectly I'm teaching them anything that has to do with any other type of word processor. Their interface might be different, but most of the things that are in Word, they are in those editors. Okay, so I will just explain one more part and then we close, because this is 9. We're working with time. Now, the next part I'm going to explain, which is very simple, is this section. And it is called the status bar. That is number 2, and this is where we are going to end. This status bar, I think it should be standard toolbar. Good. Standard toolbar. Standard toolbar. Standard what? Toolbar. Now, how do we define it? This is it here. Let's quickly acknowledge it. This is it here. It can spread down to this place. Now, the standard toolbar helps you and I to customize those commands that we use often. For example, now, instead of me going to, each time I want to update, instead of me coming here to be clicking on this save, I can program the shortcut for saving, which is this. Instead of me coming here to always open because I want to see my previous file, I can program a shortcut of it here. Instead of me coming here to click on print because I want to print, I can also program a shortcut here. That is why I said the standard toolbar helps us to program, customize as the commonly used tools. So how do we go about that? Look at it here, this icon, which says what? Customize quick access. So if you click on it, these are the ones that came as default. So this is Microsoft Office Word, assuming that these are some of the commonly used word command. So for example, I want to add an icon to represent open. You click on it, you can see that we just added icon for open. So which means that there is no time next time for you to come to file and say what you want to open your previous file. You can simply what? Just click here and then it will bring it up. Or you just press Ctrl+O. That can also what? Bring it up. So there are a lot of shortcuts that we are going to learn as we go. But I don't like students, prioritizing shortcut over the direct process, because in interview, there can be pressure. You can enter some office where the person is wearing what kind suits that you have not seen, or maybe how serene the environment is. You'll be scared that most of those shortcuts can fly away from your memory. At that point, now you forget that Ctrl+S is safe. You may be hearing something else because of the pressure. All these things that have been there, that's why I am telling you. So I don't like some person saying, MS Word, I know 1 million shortcuts. Shortcut is not the first priority. You should know. If you know shortcut, for example, now, I want to increase this font size. I should know that this is the main place where I can get it. Then I can now use what? I can now use Control plus. You can see now Control plus to increase it, or Control minus what? To reduce it. Sorry. Let me bring it back. So if I forget that shortcut, right? If I forget holding that Control and Shift and what? The greater than sign. Look at it here. I'm using shortcut now to increase it to. I just press that Control and Shift, and I'm pressing the what? This greater than sign is increasing. Then if I press the less than sign, it will be reducing it. Now let's assume that this is the only method I know, and I'm giving a laptop whereby the greater than sign is not working, though it's labeled there, but it's giving me question mark. What will you now do? That is why you should first of all know that, oh, this is where you should work with what? Sizes. All right, before you back it up with the shortcut. All right, so this is where you can customize shortcut. So I can put this one here for new. Instead of me going to file to select new document and say, okay, I want this one. All right, this which means that after this, now we now have 3 documents. The next time you hover here, you see the 3 of them. This is the one you are working on. Now, instead of me coming all the way to file and selecting this, I have already created what? A shortcut, which is what? Ctrl+N to achieve it. So I'm still just showing us a few things. Now let's assume that you want to bring the whole of this. We are rounding up in few minutes. All right, we want to bring the whole of this closer to the page. We want this to come down here instead of being at the top here. You click here and select what? Show below ribbon. You can see that we have relocated it now. So I can go back there and select what? Show above ribbon. All right, so one more thing before we close. is that peradventure there is a command that you want to use, like table. You like using table to type, but it's not displayed here. Where do you go? You go to more command. And then when you go to more command, you will see a section where you have different categories of what command. So these ones that we are seeing there, they fall under popular command. What do I want to bring? I want to bring a table. For example, now, let me look for table here. So you can search for the one you want that is not among the default. Probably it's possible that I have passed it. Let me see if I can find it easily. Now, I have table here. So if I click here now, how do I now migrate it? These are the ones you have already added. So if you are going to add anyone, you select it and click on add. Make sure you practice all these things. Go through the video after the class and master all these things before the next class. It's very important. Now you can see the way I migrated that one. Okay, maybe I want to add this one there. I'll click. So once you are done adding all the ones you want, you click OK. By the time you come back, you see all of them are here. So which means that instead of me going to insert, right, to click on table and then draw a format like this, I already have, I now have, I have a shortcut here now. I can just click here and then I'll start drawing the table. All right. This one is for the manual. You start creating the table and then all of that. So those commands that you know you use often, you can actually program their shortcuts here. If you want to remove them, you must go back to those ones that you couldn't add it here. You must go back to where you added them and there you take them off. I want to remove this, click on it, and then you now use this remove. Click on this, then you now use what? This remove, and so on like that. So ladies and gentlemen, I believe that we have laid a very strong foundation on Office, that is Office Word and data or electronic data processing. So in our next class, we are going to continue with the third one. So you can write it down. So once we join, you remind me that I said I will continue from the third one, which is the tabs. We are going to start with what? The tabs. We are going to explain all this. And then down to this section. Then after that, before we will not take that topic that I replace, which is understanding basic word processing command. Do we have any question or a word of encouragement? Just unmute and share brief experience with this class, whether the class goes well or not. Just say something or we just end the class. You have question as well. So let me just give 2 to 3 minutes for that before we close it. So let me just start with James. Okay.
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay.
You talk about Control S, but I've been hearing people talking about Control Z. So what is that Control Z?
Okay, Control Z is, for example, now I have typed these tabs, and I say, well, I don't need it again. I say, go back one more step. Control Z is to what? To go back. Why Control Y is to bring it back. One is to go backward, one is to go forward. So when you are typing and you make mistakes, say, oh, and you have the original one before, you now say, go back to that original one. Or maybe when you now bring it back, say, no, go back. So one, they are actually used. Control Z is to what? To go one step backward, one step at a time until you get to where you are going to. I hope that is explained, man.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right. Okay, so do we have anything to say, James?
The class is good. We really enjoyed the class. There's no problem. Thank you so much.
Okay, let me also hear from one more person before we close the line. I already ahead of our time with 8 minutes. I know we want to go and do some other things. Okay. Okay, so I believe we all have our class days. When is our next class? Let me know whether you have the timetable. When is our next class? When is
Going
that?
to be on Tuesday.
Good. So, hope you are aware of the next class. I believe you should know the date now. Is it Tuesday? Somebody else should confirm. Is it Tuesday, actually?
Yes.
It's Tuesday. Tuesday and Saturday. And Thursday, sorry.
All right. So, like I said, in between, I will announce it. There are times that when we get to the main aspect where we are doing some serious practical, we announce it. Outside those days, I will just tell you that I will be live, maybe 3 to 5 to answer questions. So those of you that have been working, you want special attention, you can just sign in that time and then just to answer questions so that we will not overborder the lecture days with questions. But at the moment, we have not really gotten there. We have not done much practical. I believe after the next class, I'll be able to give us assignment to start typing. And then everybody will present whatever they have typed, and then we will now scrutinize them, we'll now make correction. From the correction, for the mistake people made, the correction we are giving, that is how we learn Microsoft Word. All right, so good night, everyone. If there's no other question, so see you on Tuesday. Please kindly help us to tell others the class is still fresh, people can still join. All right, and when they join, we'll give them the video of the ones we have done so they can still catch up. All right, good night, everyone. Thank you. See you Tuesday.
Good night, sir.
How do I start?